Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Algorithm Minds. My name is Asun Khurram, and in this channel I teach programming skills in Python, MATLAB and R programming. I also teach theoretical concept as well as practical programming skills in data science, data analysis. So I request you to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell icon button. I have been producing series of tutorial videos regarding R programming. My tutorials are specifically designed for those people who are just getting started with R programming and they want to learn this language from scratch. So for today's tutorial, I'm going to teach you how you can plot a histogram in R language, then how you can actually customize that plot or any plot using some customization. So I'm going to teach you that as well. So the first step on our tutorial or our code section would be to actually load the important libraries that we are going to use. Obviously, we are going to use ggplot2 for plotting the histogram. So we are importing that library by using this R statement. Secondly, I'm going to import library IRDisplay. This is helpful for displaying the plots in Jupyter Notebook environment and its output. So that's why we loaded this library. And finally, we are setting the size of each plot that might be generated in our Jupyter Notebook file with the respective width and heights in inches. So let me just run this block of code for you. Now we have imported our libraries and set the options for our plots. Let's move on and actually create a data that we can use to generate our histogram. So first of all, we are setting seed 123. As you can see in this R statement here, set.seed with brackets we pass 123. So now this is done in order to produce the same results or same type of data whenever the code is run again and again or a different computer. So you will have the same kind of data. For this is done for reproducibility. Once you set the seed, now it's time to generate the data. In order to generate the data, we are going to use the function rnorm that creates a normal distribution with specific mean and standard deviation. So it takes three input arguments. The first input argument is 1000, which is actually the number of points you actually want to generate. The second input argument is mean, and the third input argument is standard deviation. So this is how we can generate our data that's normally distributed and stored in a variable called data. Now we are going to create a data frame by using this data normally distributed data we have just recently created. For this purpose, I'm initializing a variable named df and I'm calling the function data.frame and passing the input argument values will be the column name is equal to data. Now if you don't understand about data frame, don't worry, I have a highly resourceful video that is specifically dedicated to data frame where I teach you how to manipulate data in data frame. So I suggest you to go and watch that video. So now we have converted those vectors into a data frame in R. Let me just run this block of code for you. Now let's move on and actually plot our histogram. In order to plot the histogram, we are going to call this function or object ggplot, and we are going to pass two input arguments. The first input argument is the data that we are going to use, which is df, and the second input argument is the aesthetic mapping, where we actually tell what kind of data will be mapped to what axis. So right now we say that our values or the data will be mapped to x-axis. So that's when we done that. Now once we done that, we are going to add a layer or geometry that will actually be defined like what kind of plot you actually want. After that, you can plot a histogram, you can plot a bar chart. It's up to you. So we are interested in histogram, so we are going to use this layer or geometry geom_histogram, and we are passing two input arguments. The first input argument is number of bins or the number of intervals based on which your histogram should be plotted. If you keep this value minimum, like less than 10, your histogram will be more detailed, and if you increase those value, your histogram will not be as much detail as should be. So for a nominal value, we keep it to 30, and then we are also setting the color is equal to white. This is not the color of the bar we are currently seeing here. This is the color of the edge of the bar, so we are setting it to white. Now we are going to add an additional layer, labs. Lab stands for label. Here we actually label the x-axis, y-axis, and set the title of the histogram or a plot. So that's how we set the labels as well. And if you have some kind of ambiguity or not able to understand like what I'm doing right now, or I have a highly resourceful and detailed video regarding plotting. So I suggest you to go and watch that video as well. So that being said, now let me just run this block of code for you. Now you can see that we have successfully generated our histogram where x-axis is labeled as values and y-axis is labeled as frequencies. And we have like white edges of the bar here. Now that being said, let's move on and actually customize our histogram, because we are more interested in customizing a histogram. Please keep note that this methodology can be applied to any plotting scenario, whether you are plotting a histogram, whether you are plotting a bar chart, whether you're plotting a scatter plot. Okay, so the same kind of analogy and methodology will be applied there as well. So first of all, we are going to initialize the ggplot function, and we are passing two input arguments. The first input argument is the data frame. The second input argument is the aesthetic mapping, which labels the data to a specific axis. So in our case, we are labeling values, which are normally distributed data we have just recently created, to x-axis. That being said, now we are going to add a geometry, which is geom histogram, and we are setting bins is equal to 30. Now here we are changing the color of the bins. Here you see that now it has been changed to light green. So we here this is fill is equal to what kind of color you want. So this is where you actually change the color instead of the edges. Now we also set the color is equal to back, which is the color of edges. And we set alpha, where alpha is the transparency. 0 means for total transparent and 1 means for total opaque. So these are the input parameters that we are going to put input to this geom histogram. Now let's move on, add labels. So we are going to add an additional layer plus labels is equal to x values, y, where x will be labeled as values, y will be labeled as frequency, and we'll also set the title of histogram with customization. Then we write theme minimal by using adding assign and adding an additional layer. This give us the minimalistic theme and help us have a very clean plot. Now we are playing around with some parameters of the plot by using this theme function. Here in theme function, we are setting the properties of major axis. Okay, for you all know that for any plot there are some major axis, major grid lines and minor grid lines. So right now by using panel.grid.measure, we are setting the values of major grid lines, and we are setting the line type to be dashed and its color to be gray and its size is equal to 0.5. And for minor grid, we are setting it to blank. It means that we don't want to include minor grid, so it's submitted by using this R statement here. So that being said, we have set the theme. Now we are going to add an additional layer, which is called geom label. Here we are going to actually add the label on our existing plot, and in order to do that, we are passing a bunch of input arguments to this geom label. The first input argument is actually aesthetic mapping, where we actually defining the x-axis position of that label. Then we are also defining what will be the text in that label. So basically in aesthetic mapping, we're defining two things: positions and text. Then we are defining the size of the text here. Then we using hjust and vjust, we are telling that you take this position from left right corner, left bottom corner. Then we are setting the color of the edge to be black, and then we are filling it with white color, and then we are setting the alpha is equal to 0.5. So we will be making the whole label or legend label to be transparent. So that's how you can actually customize your histogram in R programming. And keep that in mind, this kind of methodology and R programming code can similarly be applied to other plots as well. For example, if you are plotting his scatter plot, it will be the same as well. Let me just run this block of code for you. Now you can see that we have actually successfully plotted a histogram. Now so you might be interested to plot a kernel density estimate with the histogram. This is quite a common practice to do that. So we are going to do that in this next block of code here. So the rest will remain the same. It is just we have added an additional input argument, which is AES y is equal to density. This adjusts the histogram to show a density estimate, which scales the y-axis to make the total area under the bar equal to 1 instead of the raw count. So we have just make one addition in the histogram input. Then we are going to add an additional layer for kernel density estimate. This is what we have done here, geom density. And we have set its color to blue and its size is equal to 1. The rest will remain the same. So we are going to just print a function. Let me just run this block of code for you now. Now you see that we have successfully plotted a histogram with a kernel density estimate. So I hope this tutorial have been helpful. If you have any questions regarding today's tutorial, I request you to write down your comments. I will be happy to help you out. And I will be posting more videos regarding data analysis in R programming and carrying out a comprehensive data analysis case study that will include data visualization, data analysis, machine learning, as well as playing around with SQL. So I suggest you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell icon button. I soon will be joining you for the next video. Thank you.